It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Hey folks, thanks for joining us. I'm Sam Lesante. We all know that in this country there's a gang problem, and I'm glad to have on my show now three people that are very much concerned about it. First, I would like to thank Bill Rinaldi from Hazel Creek Properties, who was able to help coordinate this particular show to bring information to all of you here in northeastern Pennsylvania. But as you may know or read, Congressman Lou Barletta, who is from the 11th Congressional District, U.S. Congressional District, and State Senator John Yudicak, who is a Democrat in the State's Senatorial District, the 14th District, announced an event to help combat increasing gang activity in northeastern Pennsylvania. And we're very honored to have the Supervisor Special Agent of the Behavioral Science Units of the FBI, and that's Darrell Dones, and we'll speak with him a little bit later on in the show. But first of all, Congressman Barletta, let's talk about, you know, when you were mayor, what was going on.
Well, Sam, we recognized early on and acknowledged that we had a problem here in Hazleton with some of the gang activity that our local police department saw. I went back down to Washington. The problem bothered me so much that I went to Washington December of 2005 to meet with the Department of Justice to explain what was happening here in Hazleton. It was both a gang problem and a problem with legal immigration. And unfortunately, at the end of the meeting, what I got out of it was a nice coffee mug, a lapel pin, and a pat on the back, and I realized that we needed to do something on our own to try to stop what was happening. And during my time as mayor, we formed a number of units out of our police department. One was the ATAC group, which is our aggressive tactical anti-crime unit, and also a street crime unit to focus on what was happening here. And we also had an officer join the FBI Safe Streets Task Force, Chris Orozco, who is an expert now in gang activity and is looking at it regionally because it is a regional problem, Sam. It's not just a problem here in Hazleton, and that's how I believe we need to attack this. So I'm very happy to partner with Senator Yudicak, in bringing this issue to the forefront so that we can educate the public, our parents, our teachers, on what's happening here. We cannot sweep a problem like this under the carpet.
Okay, Senator John Yudicak, okay, the interesting thing is I love the fact this is a bipartisan group here, and I think Darrell will talk a little bit about that when I speak with him. As the state senator, your concerns?
Well, the people committing the violent crime in our community, the people selling drugs in our community don't care about party affiliations. This is something that goes beyond those party affiliations. This is about saving our neighborhoods, saving our kids. Thrilled to be partnering with Congressman Barletta, thrilled to have an expert. I think it's very important that we point out that we have someone here in Darrell Dones that is a national, international expert to come and talk to our community, to educate our community, to put the roadmap in front of us. This is going to take an integrated regional approach. The Congressman's absolutely right. You know, the local media over the last few years, folks have viewed this as the perception has been this is a Hazleton problem. As Mr. Dones will attest, if you have gang activity in Hazleton, you're going to have gang activity within a 200-mile radius of Hazleton. So this is a northeastern Pennsylvania problem. That's why we're trying to take a federal, state, and local approach, integrate the social services, the police officers, bring that entire team to the table so that we can tackle this gang problem in northeastern Pennsylvania.
In speaking to Bob Ferdinand, the Chief of Police of Hazleton, he mentioned the fact that the most important thing is awareness and education. That, you know, it starts from the home. Parents should be fully aware of what's going on. It's very important. And, you know, how this gang activity starts, and of course, the root of the whole thing probably is, not probably, but drugs, okay? Now, first of all, I want to thank you for coming on the Sam Lesante Show, Darrell. I appreciate that very much.
Thank you for having me.
You certainly have a very impressive background here. So, without me talking, so our viewers know who you are and what you do.
Okay. Again, Darrell Dones is my name. I am employed by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. I'm assigned to the FBI Academy at Quantico, where I instruct national gang classes with local, state, federal, and international administrators and executives. I also teach new agents, new FBI agent trainees, gangs also. In the behavioral science, I do consultations, research, and behavioral analysis that are a part of my gang structure or program.
Okay. Darrell, what should I know as a citizen, as a parent, as a grandparent, as a worker, or someone in the community? What should I know about these gangs and gang activities?
Well, one of the things that I got to say is with gangs, it's not a bipartisan problem, which is contested by the work that both Congressman Barletta and State Senator Yudicak is trying to put together, or projecting with putting together a panel, putting together a proactive stance to do something about this gang problem in eastern Pennsylvania. So one of the things that I would say is you have to look at mentoring, guidance, and discipline of your kids at home. That's one of the first stances you want to do. By the time you get a child that's 15, 16 years old, a lot of times it's hard to get them to understand the wrongness of their ways. I think that when we talk about intervention and prevention, one of the best things that you can do in dealing with those programs is to educate not only the parents, but educate the kids in schools and out of schools with strong programs like those. I think that they work good if you get them while the kids are still young, between the ages of 4 and 7.
Where are you from, Darrell?
Dallas, Texas. Originally from Dallas, Texas.
Now, when you grew up, you know, and did you happen to see or become involved because you have a passion for this? You know, you have a passion for these gang activities and instructing people. What did you experience? Well,
like most individuals in law enforcement, we get into it for the passion, certainly not the pay. I'm a patriot, and I believe in the cause of law enforcement and what we do. Security and safety, you know, of American people are first and foremost. Growing up, I saw a lot of gang activity in Texas. Never a part of a gang. And one reason for that is that my mom, who raised 7 children by herself, was a strong disciplinarian. Gave us a lot of guidance and a lot of love. And instead of allowing us to run the streets and be out and be raised by the streets, she was always home doing that with us. She stressed education. She stressed after-school programs. For example, I'm a product of the Police Athletic League. I went through all the way through public schools growing up. From public schools, the universities that I went to, I either went on an athletic scholarship or an academic scholarship due to the guidance and the discipline that my mother gave me.
Folks, if you just tuned in, I'm speaking to Darrell Dones, who is a supervisory special agent of the Behavioral Science Unit of the FBI, also Congressman Lou Barletta and Senator John Yudicak. A problem that exists not only here in Greater Hazleton, but also throughout the country. And we have to become aware of it. But most especially, we need funding, and we need a lot of support from a lot of representatives so we can get funding. We need cops, and we need to be aware of what's happening, but they also have to do their job. We come back, we'll talk a little bit more to Congressman Barletta, Senator Yudicak, and Mr. Dones. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us, folks. I'm Sam Lesante. You're watching the Sam Lesante Show. Folks, remember 24/7 on SSPTV.com, and for a lot more information on what's happening with gang activities and what Mr. Dones is going to be talking about, turn to our media partnership, the Standard Speaker, as well as the Citizen's Voice. My guests are Congressman Barletta, Senator John Yudicak, and Special Agent for the renowned gang expert, Darrell Dones. Going back to you, Mayor, okay, in a community, how do we sense there's gang activities?
Well, Sam, we learned the hard way. You know, this was a community that initially did not see much graffiti, and when it first started happening, you know, we didn't suspect that that graffiti would be tied to gang activity because we haven't seen that here in the past, you know, that type of activity. So for us, it was a learning experience, and we learned the hard way that what some of the signs are that gang activity is moving into your community, and a number of gangs. And now we are very much aware that the graffiti on the wall is a story, and one gang against another gang, and it alerts us to trouble and what's happening. But that came through a very expensive lesson that a community learns, and that's really what we're all trying to do here, is make sure that northeastern Pennsylvania, the folks are aware of what these signs are and how to recognize it as a parent, as a teacher, as a community leader, as an average citizen of what's happening in our neighborhood. So that's why I think this is very important, and we appreciate the time that Darrell's taking to come down here and help us.
When you went to Congress, or you went down to Washington in 2005, you went asking for what?
Well, you know, I went asking for help because we had a small police department and a budget that was barely, you know, keeping our head above water. And, you know, these problems were very serious problems. We were watching, you know, young children 9, 10, and 11 years old be recruited into gangs. Now, some people may think that that's ridiculous. And it's not that they're asking a 9-year-old to go, you know, rob a store. It first becomes, you know, part of something. You become part of something, of an organization, and you feel that you have this, you know, this new friendship with folks. And from that early age, we are losing our youth. And so I went to Washington. I told them the problems we were having. I didn't know how to, you know, we needed help here. We needed to stop this. And, you know, we were really, I felt at that point, you know, we needed to do something on our own. And that's when we started to form these different units in our police department. You know, many people talked about the project with the dredge. Well, let me tell you, what besides the environmental great project that it is, we were able to hire 10 police officers,
yes,
and, you know, and have them trained to start doing some of this work.
Senator Yudicak, with the budget right now that you guys are facing, which is strapped, you know, it cuts all over the place, and et cetera, where, you know, where do you fit in here in helping with this serious problem we have in the state of Pennsylvania?
Well, one, I think there are a lot of things beyond funding, beyond the fiscal resources in terms of education, getting into our schools, integrating our schools, our social workers with our police departments. There's a lot of things like we're doing tonight to get started on a regional approach, a regional integrated approach to tackling gang activity. And I think what Congressman Barletta is speaking to, I think, is very important to underscore. As a mayor of a mid-sized community, northeastern Pennsylvania is the home of a lot of small to mid-sized communities. And one of the alarming things about all of this, you know, when the U.S. Department of Justice comes out with a report and tells you that you are a strategic location for the gang activity of over 20 national gangs, these folks, not only, they're criminals, but they're pretty good entrepreneurs, unfortunately, in terms of criminal activity. So they're seeing northeastern Pennsylvania as a strategic location, one, because the profit margins can be greater, and because the police presence is not what it needs to be. Pennsylvania Economy League did a report back in 2010. The number of full-time police officers has gone down and continues to go down when you see the financial shape that most of our communities are in northeastern Pennsylvania. One of the things I'm trying to do at the state level, kind of an ancillary issue to this gang awareness, is to change the rules for local governments. Local governments have to find new ways to generate revenue and provide the services that they should provide, those core services. The number one job of government, and I think Darrell mentioned it earlier, public safety. Protect and serve the community that you live in. And government has to provide that. Our local governments are having a tough time to do it. It's not because of a decision of a mayor or a decision of a council person. The structure that we have in Pennsylvania, I believe, is an 18th century model. We need to bring our communities into the 21st century so that they can deal with these 21st century problems.
Okay, so Senator Yudicak and Congressman Barletta got together to have you come in, Darrell, to speak about the gang activity. So what are you going to tell us?
Well, First of all, I agree wholeheartedly with both the senator and the congressman on their stance on gangs. One thing that we got to look at in making the statement, if you have gangs within 200 miles of your city or where you work, then you're going to get pretty much the same across the board in other cities within that 200-mile radius. Well, not only that, it goes a step further. Take, for example, when we talk about graffiti, something as simple as graffiti. If you have graffiti on a desk or an object, something that has been discarded as something that the general public may not want anymore. Well, value is seen in that by a gang. For example, a building, a dilapidated, rundown building becomes something that they place value in. And if they place value in it, they're going to scribble on it, they're going to put graffiti on it, and what that tells them is that they own it. My name is on it, now I own it. And if we don't have a graffiti removal program, for example, and as soon as we see that there's graffiti on that particular building, if we don't remove it, then they feel that nobody else wants it, and they claim it. Once they claim it, they got to protect it. Now we're having a back and forth war with gang members over a building that we didn't even see as law enforcement or the community as substantial enough to take care of. If they claim it, then they want it. That shows that they're moving into the neighborhood and accepting something that we're willing not to accept. When you talk about gang awareness, we got to talk about gang awareness starting through education, through programs that are out there, or bringing about police-based education through or with citizens, the general public. The gang problem is everybody's problem. It's not an ethnic problem. It's not a cultural problem. It's not a bipartisan problem or a partisan problem. It's everybody's problem. And as a congruent group, we got to come together and face this ourselves. For example, looking at the immigrant gang situation here in eastern Pennsylvania with Dominican gangs. Not only are there Dominican gangs that are probably the biggest gang situation that I've been able to assess over the last day and a half that I've been here, you also have a Bloods gang, which is another large gang. But there are also Chicago-based gangs and transnational gangs. We're not that far from the borders of Canada, and they cross borders all the time for their criminal enterprises. You have nationally syndicated gangs that travel, integrate, and expand all over the United States. Usually what you see on the West Coast, you see at a later date, maybe 10 years later, on the East Coast. Now, a lot of the gang trends that we're seeing that we saw on the West Coast 10 years ago, we're just starting to see now. For example, identification of gangs through colors, through the clothing has pretty much stopped due to law enforcement response. I should say strong law enforcement response. And because of that, gangs they haven't gone underground. The way that they identify themselves and have others to identify them now is through rosary beads. A lot of religious artifacts or religious symbols are being used to identify gangs to their enemies, to their rivals, and also to law enforcement. And that's one of the things that we're starting to see now.
Through these awareness programs that you're having, okay, throughout the country, and particularly in the greater Hazleton area, northeastern Pennsylvania, do we see, something coming from these things for the communities? Because what you're saying is a lot of people, I mean, I'm learning something here about this area, and it's scary. When you listen to what you're saying, I have grandchildren, people, walking the streets here, you start getting a little nervous, okay? I'm saying, what's happening? What can we do?
Well, a few things, Sam. I've discussed with the other two panel guests that there is no specific cookie-cutter programs that work across the board. What you have that work on the West Coast or what you have that works in the county may not work in the city or may not work on the East Coast. What you have to do is you have to put together prevention programs. A prevention program is something to get children involved in other activities where the streets don't raise them early on. 4 to 7 years old, you got to get them involved in education. You got to get them involved in sports. You got to get the parents back involved. You got to get the community back involved. Prevention programs are an exercise in putting together a program that's right for this particular community. What works in a rural community might not work in a large city. So what I say when I come into a community like this is, let's do community programs. Let's have community responses from your religious leaders to your elected officials, to law enforcement, through community policing, through intelligence sharing, through, like, for example, the Police Athletic League that I told you I'm a product from. There are programs that are preventative measures that help us congruently together fight gang activity. Intervention programs, for example, they do work, but you're talking about catching a kid at a later date, 15, 17, 21, which we'll talk about, I'm quite sure, a little later, the recidivism that comes from that. Basically, what you're going to see is intervention programs, you don't have as much success as doing the prevention programs on the front end. If you get a kid at 4 or 5 years old and give them a clear direction, give them something that's an alternative to quick money in their hands, help them allow them to understand moralistic views, give them guidance and discipline, I feel that you have a better opportunity and chance of saving them if you wait till they're 15, 17 years old and try to do prevention.
Folks, if you just tuned in, I'm speaking to Congressman Lou Barletta, Senator John Yudicak, and Darrell Dones, who is the Supervisory Special Agent of the Behavioral Science Unit of the FBI. He is a nationally renowned gang expert. We'll come back. We'll learn a little bit more. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us, folks. A very serious problem we have in the country, of course, is gang activity, and I want to thank Congressman Barletta and State Senator John Yudicak for putting together a forum here to bring us awareness of what's happening in gang. And also special thanks to Darrell Dones, who is a nationally renowned gang expert. Okay, I'm a parent. I'm watching the show. I'm learning things that really frighten me, okay? And now what do I do as a parent? What do I do as a community? What should we be doing here?
One of the first things, Sam, is I would suggest to parents that they get involved with their kids' life more. Get involved in what they're doing in the evening times, after school programs. Take a look at what they're doing or looking at on the computers. Believe it or not, the social networks are a big thing for gangs. Almost all gangs have social networks now. They recruit using these social networks. And it's very easy for your child to become overwhelmed by what they may see in the school, what they may see outside on the playground. You gotta know what they're doing from day to day. So what I would do is, with gang awareness programs that have been brought about with both the senator and the congressman, get involved in the community with community policing. There's a lot of good programs that are already, available and known, even in eastern Pennsylvania. I've had the opportunity to meet with several law enforcement agencies and specific gang task force officers that know about these programs. We need to make our parents aware that there are programs out there that are available or should be available through the schools also, but definitely available through law enforcement. And if you call up and ask for help, I'm quite sure that on a smaller scale, they're able to give you specifics on what to look for. The wearing of specific clothing, certain colors, a change in activity that may be an indication that a child is selling drugs or either on drugs or either being initiated into a gang. These are all things that they can look for. If there's outside guests in the home or calling up asking for your child to come over to a playground at a time that That's not a good time. It's not the time that you would normally allow your child out. Be aware of little nuances like that. Where your child is going, who they're going with, who they're playing with or socializing with are the biggest factors, because what gangs do to recruit is they see that if we're not taking care of our greatest resource, which is our children, and we're not paying them any attention, giving them the discipline or the guidance that they need, then their thing is, if you don't raise them as a parent, then the streets and the gangs will.
Right. And so what you're saying is we cannot afford not to get involved, okay? Exactly. Before, many years ago, was, well, listen, I'm not going to be concerned about the neighbors. They have to do what they're with. Yes. Now we have to be concerned because it's affecting everyone. You have a website that people could go to and learn more about this?
Well, I don't have a website, but a good site to go to is our government website for gang awareness or drug awareness. You could go to www.gov for NDIC, National Drug Intelligence Center, or for NGIC, National Gang Intelligence Center. And on there they have some awareness programs. I'm quite sure with talking with some of the chiefs of police in the area that there are local gang sites or websites that also put out the same information.
Well, I want to thank you, Senator. I want to thank you, Congressman, for working together and bringing this together. This is great to see bipartisan people working, but you guys have been always doing a fabulous job. Darrell, thank you so much for coming on the show and explaining what's going on. Folks, I hope you learned something, but there's only one thing. You got to get involved, folks. You got to get involved. It's important for you to get involved. Sam at ssptv.com if you need to respond to me, and once again, we'll see you next time.